Hello and welcome to Calico Flower Studio. I'm Danny, and today I'm going to be making a large piece on canvas, actually. It's going to be a collage piece, and I'm putting into practice something that I practiced in my journal in my last video. So check out that video if you want to see that process. But today I'm doing it on a real life piece. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking about how my practice has evolved over the years. It's interesting because it's changed, but I feel like there is a natural progression that's happened. And I want to explore that a little bit too, and just celebrate where I came from and where I'm at now. So sit back, relax, enjoy the process, and subscribe if you've not already. Leave me a comment. I always love to hear from you. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy. So, like I mentioned, I played around with this idea in my journal a couple weeks ago, and now I'm ready to give it a shot on a larger canvas. I'm really excited because this is so different from the collage work that I've done in the past. Well, I mean, it's different, but it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense that I would find myself in this place. And I'll explain more about what I mean by that in a little bit. So in my last video, I showed you this canvas that I repurposed. The other side of the canvas is actually a painting from almost 10 years ago. And I'm ready to let go of it now, so I flipped the canvas inside out and restretched it. I've already primed it with transparent primer, which is why you can still see the raw canvas. I absolutely love the look of raw canvas, which is why I'm going to preserve it and use it in this piece. So here I'm just going to outline a shape with white primer, painting the exterior of the shape all white, and the negative shape, or rather the shape that I'm not filling in, is all canvas. So I've picked out my collage pieces, and I can't believe it. I somehow lost the footage of my little rummaging process of me picking out all the pieces. But that's okay. You probably know how it goes by now. And if you don't, and you're curious, then you can catch the process in many of my other videos. I have a video that I'll link now that is literally just an ASMR experience of me rummaging through my collage bin. So anyway, I'm trying this method of arranging my pieces in a particular kind of way, which is what I experimented with in my last video. I'm curious about honoring these little scraps as they stand, celebrating them as individuals within a collection. And even though I've been trying new compositions for my work lately, the common thread in all of it is my materials, which allude to a theme of repurposing, renewal, and cycles. It wasn't always that way. But over the past, 7 years, my work evolved towards this place that feels a little more consistent, I guess. Evergreen, if that makes sense. And so I guess it's interesting to think about the history of my work and how it's evolved over time. So I would like to take a moment to give you a quick little history, and I mean very quick. We'll see how quick this goes. So I started my mixed media practice as a painter. And one day I decided to start collaging with dried paint. And I loved handling paint as a solid object. And so this led me to start incorporating other solid object materials into my paintings, like different kinds of papers that I would make marks on. And this is when I started exploring mark making, and incorporating stamping and printing on my materials and in my paintings in general. But this practice caused me to accumulate a lot of stuff in my studio. Lots of papers and things that I've marked on. And this got me thinking about collecting more mundane materials to collage with, like old fabrics and stationery. I even started repurposing framed artwork from the thrift store. And I continued with using more and more collected collage material. And up until this point, I was always abstracting an actual image from my life, either a photograph or a still life drawing. But kind of on the side, I was slowly beginning to experiment with creating abstract imagery that did not start out as any specific image. I just started playing around with spontaneous compositions. I started making a lot of collages that looked like little floating clusters of material. And at this point, I am just obsessed with collage scraps. It's also around this time that I started this YouTube channel. So shortly after launching this channel, I got a full-time job, which definitely impacted my relationship to my art practice. I began journaling a lot more. And art became a little bit smaller and more intimate for me. I needed it to be something that I could invest less time in, but that felt meaningful to me. So, but after I left that job, I expanded my practice back to making larger pieces again. Now that I'm thinking about it, at this point in my journey, I've kind of zeroed in on collage more and have very little painting going on. The pieces in the Let Go series, which is my latest series of work, were my first large works that were 90% collage, if not 100% collage. And as I was making my Let Go series, where I dropped the collage pieces onto the surface of the artwork, my fascination with collage scraps was recontextualized. With these bigger pieces, I was working on the floor with a lot more material that I pre-selected. And because of this, I'd spread out all of the scraps before I started dropping them in the piece. I actually thought this stage of the process was also interesting and beautiful. And so I thought, maybe there's something to this. So that is what led me to this. I feel like that was not very brief, but I hope it was interesting and inspired you to think about your creative journey, how it evolved, how each step along the way has guided you. It's funny how we find our way as people. Every stage of my journey has left me a clue. I followed the breadcrumbs that my gut told me to follow because they excited me. They lit me up and compelled me down different pathways. This is so funny. I can't help but think about this video game that I used to play called The Legend of Zelda. You've probably heard of it. But I think about Link, the main character, on his quest, navigating some giant labyrinth, solving puzzles, and walking into so many different rooms. And some of those rooms led you nowhere closer to your destination. However, those dead-end rooms contained treasure chests that held very important things in them, like keys, and maps and tools that you needed to get to wherever you were eventually going. And you wouldn't be able to move on without that part of the journey. So in life, even if the path you're currently following comes to an end and you have to turn back around, usually you will have gathered something along the way that will open new doors and lead you to new places. Even though where I started in 2017 looks so different than where I ended up now in 2024, I feel like it was actually a very natural progression. I really enjoy this new space that I'm in. It's definitely lighting me up lately. What do you think? Share your thoughts with me in the comments below. I'd love to know if anything resonated with you in this video. And thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and share with a friend who might appreciate these thoughts. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.